For me, I'm not exactly religious to that extent. I do like the Bible and I do use it as a guide. It has really good advice. But to me, that's almost like when you say it, it sounds good, but to me, it's almost another excuse, like saying that we're cursed. And I hear a lot of people say that, like that you could put a curse on somebody, put a root on somebody, the spiritual things. And I don't. I think it's more of the person and the choices that you make. I just don't believe in curses like that. I just think we make bad decisions and then we say it's a curse. When
Well,
because you got free will. So my thing is, if you have free will and we start making the right decisions,
well,
is that still a curse?
the curse doesn't necessarily mean like you finna be broke or go without. It doesn't necessarily mean that we have been removed from who we are as a people. And um I could pull it up. It's I got my Bible right
We
here.
can switch gears, Lance, and we can go into your rebuttal now. And we can get to that. Maybe you can explain. So for me, like I'm religious, but also I'm spiritual. Like because what I noticed in going to church is a lot of people are religious, but they're not spiritual. So what do I mean by that? Well, yeah, there's an order in things, but when you feel the Holy Spirit and when you have that, when you know when you feel it and I use it in every decision I make. I have to know, is God with me? Did God, so there is a difference. So I get what Vulgar is saying. And I think that in American church, it's more religious than anything else. And I think that turns people away from having that relationship with God. But Lance, I want to start, switching gears here. We can go into that discussion. Let's start with the first thing that we talked about that night. How many his Israelites are there around the world? Our guest Nick said there were 10,000. I know there's way more than that. So what is the real number? Give me a guesstimate.
I honestly couldn't tell you. What I will say is that in Revelation it does say that 144,000 of the Hebrew Israelites will be taken up to rule as priests. However, I couldn't say exactly how many for sure because we are a scattered people. We don't have our land as we had before, so we are all over the whole world. I
How
don't
many are practicing?
I couldn't tell you. I really couldn't say how
Okay.
many people. What I will say is that there are multiple groups. There are a lot of
Hmm.
camps. I myself, I don't partake in the camps. Um, it
So
is
in
a
the
lot of
videos that we were watching, are those the camps that we
if
saw in the clips?
the people, if they're outside, then yeah, those are most of the time the people of the camps. They stand outside. They go to public places and they try to address the crowd. Um, there are differences in beliefs amongst different camps of people, and that's why I don't partake in any of them. If you speak to any, with some of them, they'll tell you, "Oh, well, you're not this. You're white, so you're destined for this, and you're destined for that." I don't believe in that.
So
I
wait,
believe
so do you believe that white people are going to be your slaves one day? Like, do you personally believe that? And where does that come from? Can you break that down for me? Because I want to understand where that comes from.
well, you have people who say that God doesn't judge individuals; they say that He judges nations.
Hmm.
Um, I have to address this part first, as far as the anger that a lot of
Hmm.
these guys in the camps have. Uh, that goes back into the curses. I don't believe that uh, all white people are destined to be slaves. However,
Okay.
I do want the camps to know, anyone who hears this message, we need to understand that animosity that we got from white people over the years and
Right.
that anger that we have towards them, that was something that's a part of the curse that told us that we were going to come to this nation and be treated that way. And it's not a random malady. That's what the Bible said was going to happen to us. And that happened because of our own transgressions, not because they just seen black folks and was like, oh, yeah, we finna get it they neck. It wasn't like that. That was a spiritual hatred that they had towards black.
Right.
And
Right.
so that's the fundamental that a lot of people have to start with. And lose my train of thought a bit. But it's from there when you start to realize that hate is unnecessary. If we are the priest of the Most High, and we were given a duty to show the world. That's what we are here to do. The Bible does also tell us that Gentiles can be drafted in. Just because you're not a Hebrew by blood doesn't mean that you're damned, you know. But I will say that it's not up to us to live in subjectivity. We can't. It's not up for us to decide what makes us a good person and what makes us a bad person. We have laws, and those are laws that we live by. And when people adhere to those laws, then that's part of what will get you, that will help you reach your salvation. But there's also another half of that people need to understand, but I'll hold off on that if y'all have any questions.
Vulgar, do you have a question? Because I mean, I'll let you go next with your question.
Not right off right this listening, because a lot of this, I'm not into it. So
Yeah.
I'm just listening to understand.
Well, let me start from a real world perspective.
Okay.
Both of my parents are Jehovah's Witnesses. I've never seen them stand
Wow.
next to each other. Never seen them next to each other. But both halves of my family are Jehovah's Witnesses. I was introduced to that at an early age, and I didn't believe it. Never caught on to it. And as I got older, I started making friends, and I started going to church with them. And that didn't catch on with me neither. And
Hmm.
for a long time, I studied things. I wanted to know how the world worked, and I was blessed with curiosity. So I wanted to know about our government, how it worked, our economy, how different things work. And I used to feel bad about it. I won't say unfortunately, but in the beginning of my studies, I mostly dabbled in what people would call conspiracy theories. I studied the Illuminati, the Council of 13, the Committee of 300, the Mothers of Darkness. I looked all these different organizations up, and I realized that people would call these things conspiracies because they didn't want to believe it. And
Hmm.
I had to realize that people actually struggle with the truth. And even the foundation of the country that we live in, America itself has occultic roots. And
Yep.
that's not taught. America is a big part of the Bible. And
Yes.
and it's the foundation of what America is. It'll help people understand that it's why particular things happen in this country. And it's only because we have technology, these ways of these people who run this country are now being exposed. But most people don't know about the foundation of America. So just as the Hebrews with the 12 tribes, they have their validity. America also has its connotations as well. The rest of the world does too. You, I can say the Federal Reserve, for example, the people that print our money. We all want the money, yet we don't realize where it comes from. We don't look at the print. Most of us don't know that the very dollars we spend are an ode to the devil. And that's just
Wow.
a literal fact based off the people who make it. You have to ask yourself, well, I don't want to say too
L-
much. Let me know if I'm speaking too
Lance,
fast.
someone's asking, do you believe the Edomites are white people? I don't know.
No,
Is that so? No. Okay.
no. And I say that because I believe that the Edomites are people who intermingled with those who call themselves the Jews now. Um, I really have a strong opinion on Edomites and where white people came from, but
Hmm.
I that's a whole different subject in itself. I just want to say that the world that
Touch
we
the surface with certain things with the Fed. Okay.
okay.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Because I
so
know where you're going with
so far as who are white people, they came from one of the three sons of Noah, Japheth, and he's the progenitor of white people. And the issue I have with white people, well, not white people as a whole, let me slow down, but the issue I have with whom we consider Jews, they
Yes.
they claim a covenant that was never given to that family tree. if you read the Bible, the covenant was given to Isaac, Abraham, and Jacob. Those are sons of Shem, the brothers of Japheth. So you basically took the covenant of your cousins and assumed a position. And that's just one of the contradictions. So when people ask what I think about white people and whom we call the Jews, they all came from the same people. They all came from the same. So yeah, Edomites are intermingled with them, but are they a singular person at this time? No. I believe that race of people intermingled with whom we know today as the modern day Jews. And that's just that in a nutshell.
Let's talk about the like why do you think the people remember touch the surface? Why do people think that how should I word this? We kind of talked about this earlier. There's so much to say. Elle, I'm gonna have to bring you on my Rumble because we are on YouTube.
Yeah.
So what okay. So why are so why didn't you join a camp then? Because the camps are what most people think about when we think about Hebrew Israelites.
The camps have been around for a long time. It's just that most of these camps are divided. They don't have they all don't think the same. And I don't want to be a part of a group whom I see physically. I don't want to be a part of a group that tells people who was going to heaven and who was going to hell, or who was going to stay here and do anything. I don't feel like that's my job to decide. I don't want to be out there telling people who haven't done nothing to me personally that they going to hell or they won't be accepted. That's not my job. My job is to spread the truth and to provide the right path, not to discredit anybody or to spread hate. I don't have any tolerance for that.
So Lance, do you guys believe in Jesus? Is that correct?
Absolutely.
So tell me what in what you practice about Jesus that we can all agree on. Like tell me the middle ground because his birthday is on the day we celebrate is the 25th. Tell me where do we meet in the middle? Tell me what do the Hebrew Israelites believe so I can compare and contrast and our viewers can too.
Okay, for us, Christmas would probably be one of the most evil days out of the year. We do not
Okay. It's
Christmas
pagan.
itself, and again, there's a history that goes with that. That's not me just making it up. That's
No, it's not you.
the history of Christmas is there, and it's by our own programming of America. We don't think about it. It's not taught. We do. Let me say this: that we believe strictly in the Bible. We go off the word of the Bible. The difference between us and Christians is that we know that the Bible was written by, for, and to Hebrews. There is no covenant with Christianity. The Bible has a chosen people, and those people were Hebrews. I see somebody was mad about somebody liked what I said about Christmas.
Well, because I think what he's saying is like we should celebrate Jesus's birth, but it is what the way we celebrate it here in America and around the world, it's become a pagan holiday. So or do you not think we should celebrate his birth at all? Is that what you're saying, or
It
is it the way
never
it's
told
done?
us to celebrate. It never told us to celebrate his birthday, and it never told us when his birthday was. Biblically, Christmas would be in reference to winter solstice, and it
True.
was
And
and
that
it
was
was
pagan. Hmm.
exactly that was the birth of Tammuz. And most people don't know about who Tammuz is, but Tammuz was the son of Ishtar, and she was the mother of Easter. So if you go 9 months away from what we call Easter, you'll land in the end of December. And within that culture, that was the beginning of paganism. Uh, Ishtar, the queen of Easter, her husband was her son, and his name was Nimrod. And Nimrod was he was the leader of the first empire on earth. This is after the flood. You have to go back this far to understand why we don't do Christmas. if anyone's mad, Nimrod was the father of Tammuz. And Nimrod built the Tower of Babel solely to get
Mhm.
revenge in heaven. And so we have to understand that the first empire on earth was pagan. And these names had transferred over through different religions and different cultures and empires. And it's over that time where you land in Roman Catholicism, where they tell us that Christmas is the birth date of Jesus, when in actuality, the deception of what Christianity is, they're telling you to worship the first Antichrist. We can't ignore
Oh, so that was what the guy said. December 25th was he's talking about the Nimrod guy.
it was
Okay.
Tammuz's birthday. It was, the Bible or anything else never said that Jesus' birthday was on Christmas. That's the product of America and its
Got you.
Babylonian roots, and that's just history. You know, I
Boog, are
mean,
you learning a lot here?
Yeah, I'm learning that growing up broke and not able to celebrate Christmas wasn't such a bad thing.
yeah, and trust me, I grew up. My parents were Jehovah's Witnesses, and it
Yeah.
killed me.
You
And
got no gifts.
and I have to say, I gotta say, bro, my people, I was mad about it because my parents, as witnesses, they didn't know. They didn't know why holidays were evil. They just told us don't do it, and we didn't have no choice in the
Wow.
matter. So I had to sit around mad. But now my children and my home, we don't do Christmas, and my kids don't get mad about it. They don't throw a temper tantrum because they know what it means. And the majority of these people, they need to know why they go out on Christmas all this time right here. They are getting ready to celebrate the old Satan. Christmas is more even than Halloween.
Wow.
And it goes
Wow.
deeper in that. I mean, Christianity within itself is a fallacy. And it's because of Christianity we have these holidays that we celebrate in America that doesn't let us know, like, oh, you really participating in the occult. Valentine's Day, the 4th of July,
But I love Christmas.
it's all evil. It's all evil. And I know it's hard to break people away from it, but it's evil. And it doesn't take you to believe in God or the devil to do it. Either way, there's no
Mhm.
black and white within it.
No, there's a blurred line between good and evil. Like we are in a
Mm-hmm.
spiritual battle, and that's why I say I wish people would get a relationship with God. I don't even want you to go to church. Just have a relationship with God. Open your Bible, read it every day. You don't need to go to church. And I get it because there's a lot of evil people in the churches.
Nah, especially
And and I
the
and I
black
have a
church is gone. I'll tell you
I
that.
have a saying, the worst people are in church on every Sunday and the best people in the world don't even go to church. And I truly believe that. But it's good to have that relationship and connection with the Lord Jesus Christ for me personally. So now going back, Lance, what are the similarities with Jesus?
Oh, um, ooh. So I have to say it's really not many. Far as Christianity, I have to say that Christianity is kind of subjective and pretty vain. When I step into that world and look at what's going on, all I hear from most of those people is blessings and what can be done for you, you know, or how he's blessed you, whatever, sow a seed, all that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
I do see particular pastors um teaching, uh, but I have a deeper issue with churches. We really don't have many similarities. We do believe the only thing that we do share in common is that we do believe that whom you all call Jesus Christ, he died for our sins.
Mhm.
Um, we don't give any importance to the cross. We don't give any importance to the church.
So do you do communion?
No. I mean, we got people gather, but for the most part, we firmly believe that no man should be your teacher. You have to take it upon yourself to read and
Read.
understand it. And if you don't
Mhm.
understand it, you pray on it. But what we don't do is organizations with leaders, and that's part of the reason why I don't do camps. If there was ever a time that we were going to be gathered, the Most High would do it. I don't believe it's up to us to do that.
So do you believe in the Trinity, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost?
Uh, we don't call it a Trinity. I would
Okay.
want to say no. I do believe that the Messiah is whom you call God in the flesh. And I'm using these words who you call because I use a different language with it. So for me, I don't call God God. For me, God would be Elohim because that's what God
Right.
means in Hebrew. For us,
Mm-hmm.
Jesus would be called Yahshua HaMashiach.
Yeah.
Uh, the Most High Himself would
Yeshua.
be
Mm-hmm.
right, and the Most High Himself would be known as Yahuwah. And these are the names that I use to refer to the Father and Son. Who people call what people call the Holy Spirit, we call the Ruach Hakodesh. And so we use these words, but it's the Ruach, the Spirit.
So
That's
so this was his other thing that he said about you guys, the Mr. Nick. He said
okay.
that you guys don't celebrate Passover or Rosh Hashanah. Is that true? Do you celebrate Passover and those things?
Yes, we definitely celebrate Passover.
Because I thought so because I watch actually I think I watched a lady who I really like and I do believe now that I think of it, she celebrates all those things and she talks about it on YouTube.
Well,
So
the thing is, we differ, and I think a lot of people when they hear about a Black Hebrew, as they call it, they'll instantly look at what the modern day Jews do, and they would try to see what the difference is between us, and it's like we aren't the same as them. Excuse me, we aren't nearly we do things a different way. So they might do Passover. I can't say how modern day Jews do Passover, but we do it biblically sound. And you know,
do you guys baptize? Someone's asking.
yes, but the water and all that, we don't. I personally and people who I know don't think the whole dipping in water is necessary.
So how do you baptize then?
Mostly by prayer. I was baptized when I was injured in the hospital. So when I got
Okay.
baptized, I was kind of halfway out of it, but I knew I needed it. And I was going through a particular spiritual battle at that time. And I didn't even ask for to be baptized, but it came. And I've been on this journey ever since.
Do you celebrate Hanukkah? Someone's asking in the chat.
Far I don't personally, but I know people who do.
Okay. Wow. Wilger, any questions? Think back to Wednesday night.
The only reason why I
Yeah,
don't
it's just a
celebrate
lot to
Hanukkah
take
is
in.
because it wasn't mentioned in the Torah. And I know that it is mentioned in the Bible, but that's not how I haven't been led to do that yet. So when it comes upon me and within study, then I may partake. Somebody telling me I'm ignoring 17. I don't know if they're arguing with me or they arguing amongst themselves.
I think they're arguing in the chat. I'm gonna pull up John 3. I don't you Sar, what are you talking about? Like what's being ignored? Can you be clear? We don't know what you're talking about. Sorry.
Some Bible verses.
Yeah, they're going crazy in the chat, which I appreciate. I love engagement. I love Jesus and anything to have that conversation, let's have it. Even if we agree,
Oh,
disagree,
they
at
said
least we're
people
having it.
love John 3:16, but ignore scene in 9.
Or
Mm.
let me pull up the scripture. So anything else that you want to touch on to rebuttal in that video that we didn't talk about, Lance?
Um, Really, no. I just really want to take the time to say that, us here in America, we really have to wake up to the world that we live in.
Mm-hmm.
We are distracted by the Diddy stuff, all the celebrity
Mm-hmm.
drama, the political drama, and most of us have no clue of the world we live in. I firmly believe that the Black people of America, most of us don't know who we are, and I believe even white people firmly don't know who they are. Some of them. You have some. I live in Chicago, so I have a lot of immigrants around me, and I think it's important that we come to a knowledge of the world that we live in. If if you doubt the Bible, fine, but I implore you, study the world within your surroundings. Look at the creation of the Federal Reserve. Look at the foundation of America, of what that is. Study what Freemasonry is, and these things will let you know what time it is in this world. I I ultimately, on my path that I'm on right now, I am completely closed off from society. So I don't really know what's going on as far as like the celebrity drama and all that. For me, it's spiritual 24/24. And all I do is study the Bible and the things that surround it. And so what's the difference between
Lance,
Judaism?
someone's and
Yeah.
they're asking you that, and that's a good question if you can answer that.
So Judaism, and this is the part where people might get offended. Judaism is a product
Don't
of.
get my channel
I'm
canceled,
trying
please.
not to, and I'll try to put this as lightly as possible.
Yeah, speak in
Judaism
codes if you have to.
Ju- Judaism isn't what we consider to be our culture. Judaism is the culture of the people, and they were also Hebrews, but these were the
Hmm.
people who rejected Christ, and that's the key important thing to know. These are people who rejected Christ and went on to continue their own path and create Judaism, and it was that religion that the modern day Jews converted to. They didn't convert into Hebrewism, they converted into Judaism. So those are the people who still believe that the Messiah didn't come yet and there's a need for a particular temple. But I will say to you, those people who they are waiting for will not be the Messiah. He will be the complete opposite. And it's because of that we need to get real and focus on the times that we're living in and come back to the truth. That will show in our economy, that will show in these wars that's going about, and it will show in our
Hmm.
society that the person whom they waiting for, he's going to be the person to fix all the chaos. But he's also going to be the anti, whom I won't
Right.
say
Hmm.
exactly. And it's that guy who they're waiting for. And that's the difference of Judaism. Study that star they carry. That 6 point
Um,
star.
so
That
with all this, I think it's important to know history and know
the
a lot
truth
of
of
these
history.
things. Yeah, the truth.
Because you won't
How
get this from
much?
TV.
Okay, so and this is the issue that I have with church and why I don't go.
Mhm.
How does that translate into real life? So I'm
Well,
like, how do like okay, so I look at religion as like a broker, right?
mhm.
As where like somebody like me is more logical, more science based, where okay, this is not, I have a good moral compass. So, okay, this is not right. This is wrong. This is against the law. This is not against the law. If you do this, you will prosper. If you do this, make this mistake, you won't. So, my thing is, all this, we got all these divisions of religion. What does this have to do with black people in America starting to do better?
Well, the only thing after slavery, the only thing that black people had was the church. The Baptist church began with black people, and that's all we had. Even after slavery ended, we didn't have anything else.
And then it became a
Uh,
pimping machine.
exactly. And what
That
people
pimping
understand,
shit.
I mean, it's true, and they weren't given the truth. They were even during slavery, black people were told that. Or let me slow down. Let me say this. Even during slavery, they knew who the black people were then because they told them this is happening
Mhm.
to you because you didn't obey your God. And that told people for whatever reason that made them believe that it was two
Mm.
different gods in the Bible. They wanted them to believe that you had a mean, cruel God who you didn't listen to, and now you're in
Mhm.
suffrage. But we believe in Jesus, and He gave us you as slaves. That's the notion of what black people were told. And so we had the Baptist church, and that's all we had, period. And so everything that we had going on, it filtered from the black church. And this is the very reason why Democrats, especially, why they go into the black churches during their campaigns, because black folks have always been there. We sit in the black folks sit in churches and they let the Democrats come into the church and promise them stuff, and for decades it's bitten them. It's never worked out for them. I'm from Chicago, and I believe Barack Obama is maybe the most evil man that ever touched the face of a camera.
Ooh,
And I
me
get
too.
so much hate for it. And it's when black people wake up and stop being rused by the church, it's when we'll come into the real light. And I have to say,
Mhm.
as far as churches, the only reason why we have different denominations of churches is because we had a man. There was a man a long time ago. You might have heard his name, Martin Luther. And I'm not
Okay.
talking about
Yep.
Martin Luther King. I'm
Yeah, the
talking
one
And
who
about,
yeah,
migrated to
and he
America.
talked
Yeah,
about him
I
that night.
talked about that.
Remember, Vulgar?
yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
you
I
did.
talked. Yeah,
Okay, okay.
I brought him up.
I
Yep.
knew someone did. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
And
that
so
was
are
me.
you familiar? So are you familiar with this issue that he had with the Catholic Church?
Yep.
Why he left the Catholic Church?
Yep.
It was. I just want to know if we're on the same page. Is
Hold
all.
up. No, go ahead. I know he left and wanted to
Well,
start his own version of
yeah. And
religion.
so what was going on was you had the Catholic Church at this time. If you had a dead relative, you was able to come up into the Catholic Church, and you were able to pay money to the priest for your family to live well wherever they were. So you would give them money, and they would bless your dead relative's soul, whether they in heaven or hell. That was the gist of it. And Martin Luther disagreed with that part. He was okay with everything else the Catholic Church was doing, but he disagreed with that part about paying money for your dead loved one's life in the
Lance,
underworld
someone
or whatever.
keeps asking you about the Ethiopian church. What are your thoughts on it? Because I know that a lot of them are very close to, like, supposedly, like, well, I don't want to misspeak.
The
What are your thoughts on it? Because I've
the
heard
only
some, but
thing
I
I
don't
know,
know
the only thing,
factually.
yeah, far as the Ethiopian Church, I'm not too familiar with the Ethiopian Church, but I do know that the Ethiopians were the only people the only other group of people to translate the Bible. Every Bible that we have right now was translated by Greeks. The only other group of people to do it was the Ethiopians. Um, I haven't been able to obtain one of their books, but that's as far as my knowledge goes with Ethiopia and their church.
Mm.
Yeah.
Well, the last thing I want to close out and say, because I know it's Christmas and some of us spend time with family. I don't want to take up too much of Vulgar's time because I know he has a lot going on. So I really appreciate him coming here. Usually there's a cast of about 5 or 6 guys. So Vulgar hung out with me, and I'm so glad we had this conversation tonight. Um, why is it important to have a relationship with God in today's times? Lance, what's your reasons for it as a Hebrew Israelite or as a man? We don't even have to preface it with that.
We are just living in dark times right now. I mean, we can look around, and I know a lot of people, they like to stick their head in the dirt and pretend like stuff ain't going on, but we live in very crucial times, and there isn't a dollar that can save you. There isn't a shelter that can save you. A wise man said that your bomb shelter will be a grave after the Messiah comes. So there's nothing out here that can save you outside of your relationship with the Most High. And to do that, you have to adhere to His commandments. It's not up to
Mhm.
us to decide what's right and what's wrong. Even if we consider ourselves to be good people, those commandments will help keep you pure and help keep the things of the world off of your head. I personally don't stress about anything. I live in a good neighborhood. Um, our bills I paid. I eat what I want to every day. And all I do is put God first. And it's these things I have to appreciate. I don't want a big house, a nice car. I don't want to stun on nobody. None of that is important. And
Right.
when you realize who's in control of the things that you want for material things, you'll
Mhm.
realize all this stuff evil, literal evil.
Mhm.
And that when you realize that, that should let you know that there is a dark force on this world that's here to attack you, and you need to draw force to the Most High, or you'll go down with the majority. Yeah. So it's really important. I do believe that America is a place that you have to be weary of, and I have a lot to say about this country as a whole, and maybe I can come back again and we can discuss that.
Definitely. I do want you to come back, Lance. I really, really appreciate you coming. And let me start by saying, after meeting you, I take back my comment that the Hebrew Israelites are a hate group, but I think that that sect that we watched, they are. I'm sorry, but you're not. And I apologize to the Hebrew Israelites in the chat and to anyone that watched our prior show for the things I said. But
Can I interject?
oh yeah, sure, go ahead, Gover.
So there's something that I say a lot
Okay.
as far as I think I told Nora this about the Manosphere, right? Where I say that
Hmm.
the ones who spew the toxicity and the hatred
Get the
are the
attention.
ones that get the attention. Do you feel like that is a thing with the Israelite or the Hebrews? Like, do you think that's the ones who are spewing the hate, the ones that are like shock jocks as far are they just getting all the attention and it is giving y'all a bad name, or do you think they're the majority?
No, I think that I do believe. See, one thing about it is that another fundamental thought that we have is that the devil runs this world.
Hmm.
Satan is the prince of this earth, and we know that he creates division. I do believe that particular people will be put on the front face to make it seem like we crazy. Even not just the camps, but Nick Cannon, for example, with all the stuff that he had going on. Kyrie Irving, when he came out with the Hebrew stuff, I do believe that a lot of people will be put into the public eye to assassinate the character of what a Hebrew is. Now, as far as the guys with the camps, I don't think. I just think these guys deal with a lot of emotion. Like I said, a lot of us are coming
Hmm.
into the truth, and when you discover that truth, it gives you a particular identity. And you have some men, it's common sense. You have some men who spent their whole life thinking that they were nothing, and so now they've come upon the knowledge that they're biblical royalty, and so now they go to the streets, and while they're trying to encourage, they're giving off hate, and
Thugs and gangsters.
I don't think they know that they're doing it. To be honest, I don't think they know.
It's the same thing how you start.
You say it again?
It's the same. It's the example I gave about gangs. Like the
Yeah,
gangs, they'll go out and seek out people with low
yeah,
Hmm.
self esteem.
yeah.
They're
And
seeking
even these
belonging.
groups, these groups they fight amongst each other. You know,
True.
they don't agree with each other. I've seen videos of them meeting up, and it does look like gang activities. You got guys in purple fighting guys in purple and gold and black, and they got the hats on and all that. I'm not against anything that they do. I do believe that they do carry a code of truth. However, how they go about it, I don't agree with it. I don't think that it's up to us to decide uh, who will be saved and who doesn't. However, I do believe, and this is where I think the confusion comes in, that the salvation is for everybody. Everybody can have salvation if they do
Thank
what they need to
you,
do.
Lance.
But what people need to know is the redemption. The redemption.
Hmm.
Because we were hard headed, that is for the Hebrew. And we have to be redeemed because we were the ones who messed up. But the salvation lasts for everybody.
Yeah.
You know. But I want people to understand the world that we live in. Please, I implore
Hmm.
everybody, study the Federal
Hmm.
Reserve, the history of that. Study where Freemasonry is. Look at George Washington. He was the first president. He was a Mason. Masons are Luciferians. We have to know this stuff, and it's not going to be taught to you on TV because they own the channels. So you wouldn't know
Yeah.
it anyway. They own the channels, they own the schools that we go to, and the only way that we are going to get this knowledge is by reading. And I tell anybody, don't read anything. Mhm.
Lance, someone's asking us in the chat. We're gonna wrap it up, but someone's asking where the salvation is for everyone. I mean, I know it's in the it's very clear. Jesus talks about it. I mean,
It's a
where
few.
do you get that from?
There's a few verses. I really don't want to go into them because it's multiple.
Okay.
But the salvation lasts for everybody. But you have to be grafted onto the tree of Israel. You can't acknowledge God of the Bible and ignore His people and His rules. Uh, you have to read the Bible from page one all the way through. And when you read the Bible going all the way through, you will see that a lot of the things that we've been told are complete lies. So you have to start from the beginning on your own. Don't try to read it as the best Christian or the best
Hmm.
whomever. Read it for you from page one. The salvation
Yeah.
is for we all and again, you have to be saved. If you are not saved in the eyes of the Messiah, then there's nothing for that. It doesn't even matter if you're a Hebrew. That alone won't save you. You have to be saved in the eyes of the Messiah. And that can be
Right.
anybody.
Exactly. Vulgar, what's your closing thoughts?
Like I said, I think it's good, people that have their spiritual beliefs, and I think it kind of levels people out. Um, for me, I think, like I said, I'm more logical, and something that I did take away from the Bible is like obey the land. And part of me, if you bring it back to political or the country itself, the Constitution, um, I think that would help more as far as getting us in line and doing better is understand the Constitution, getting away from these these pimping buildings, the churches. And I don't know. It just to me, a lot of religion the way it is now, and the churches are like it's a very emotional, money driven thing, which I necessarily believe money is evil. I think money is a physical uh, piece of how we think. We give it value. So when people say it's of the devil, I think a lot of people indulge in things that they shouldn't. To me, when I think Lance was saying how like we're overtaken by Satan or the devil, or at this point, I just think we make bad decisions. And I would say that as far as like one of the choices I just made of about a week ago was to cut out drinking. And I noticed it's been, a lot of people will say that on a spiritual thing, like the devil had a hold of me with alcohol. For me, I realized that it was a bad decision and that it's costing me money. It's stopping me from doing certain things. I'm an entrepreneur. And I just kind of like looked at the numbers and I'm like, okay, I'm spending, if I go out and I buy drinks that are expensive, that's $50 I spent on the tab. And then that's money away from the time I could have been hustling because you don't have set hours, you don't have somebody paying you. So it's those logical things and choices I think that are more important. However, you can mix that with religion. I think that needs to be a thing of discipline. I think discipline needs to be taught overall. Like a lot of us get caught up in the emotional side of religion and thinking just because we're following this path or we're this or we're the chosen people that there's some type of or if we're bad things are going to happen. When a lot of things just boil down to the choices you make.
Can I ask a question one time before we leave? I just want to ask you in regards when you say logical. Let me ask you a question. And I was addressing this earlier. And I kind of got sidetracked. What uh what what do you think of far as our economy and when we speak on the value of money? Um I don't want to get too deep in since I know we about to close out, but part of our prophecy is that this economy will fail. And that's one of our main fundamental understandings is that this economy will fail. And when that does happen, it would be a dwindling effect. These are all things part of Revelation. I'm not sure if y'all too familiar with that, but
Mm.
it,
Yeah, I
it's
am.
it's spoken of a one world order with a one world currency, and we have to understand that just as how I'm trying to tell y'all that the spiritual manifests in our reality, evil does too. And so when I say
Exactly.
the root of the root of all money is evil, I mean it's literally the root of all evil. Like
Right.
the people who are here who created and run our economy are products of the devil. And the dollar isn't here to help us. It's actually here to destroy this country. It's one of the main tools of uh of destroying this world that we live in. And not just this country, but the world as a whole.
But my thing
Um
is, if that's the case, why do we spend a third of our life trying to get it and another third resting a few of the that first third to get it?
because we brainwashed as people. That's a thought that comes from if I'm not mistaken, Greek philosophy. It was a guy, and I'm not sure if he was a Greek or not, but it was a guy named Charles Darwin, and it was him that told everybody the strongest survive. The more that you have, the better off a person you are, and that was something that was drilled into the heads of people hundreds of centuries ago. And
I don't. Yeah, I don't think it make you a better person. I think it gives you more leverage.
yeah,
Who you are, so you
people,
having that
but
power. Yeah.
yeah, but even today, we judge each other based off what we have and what we don't have, and instead of looking at who we are as people, and that's one of the flaws of living in what someone in the comments had just called Babylon. I don't call America America. This is Babylon, but that's a different
Well,
conversation.
I mean, but the thing is, we got to eat. We need to eat. We need energy.
We
So
do,
who you
we
are as a
do,
person don't pay the bills.
right?
So at the end of
Well,
the day, that's why we tend to
yeah,
judge because we got to eat.
you
Like
just have. It's like what
yeah.
you said before. We have to be mindful of the money when we get it.
But I was gonna say too what
Property.
you were saying about the economy.
Mhm.
I think you was gonna ask logically, what do I think if it's prophesized?
Or what would you do?
I mean, for me,
What do you think? Yeah.
for me, nothing lasts forever. Not even the sun even has ending. The universe even has an ending date. So to me, that's an easy prophecy. Um, it's human for one. If you look in history, every great civilization has failed, and then somebody took its place. So that's kind of like 101
But
in a
even
sense.
that, but even that is biblical prophecy. Even that
But
from
that's
the
human
fall
nature,
of,
though. You
but
can't last.
but
You born, you grow, you eventually you have some wins, you have your prime, and then you have your decline. That's not
well,
even a prophecy. That's like a lot of this stuff they're saying. That's not even a prophecy. It is the it's the cycle.
but what makes something a prophecy is when it's foretold and then it happens. And the falling of these empires were mentioned before they even came about. And
Yeah, but I
that's what
mean,
makes a
it's really
prophecy.
just it's going to happen. That's what I'm like. There's no way.
Yeah.
Nothing
And,
lasts
and
forever. The change.
but but what
Yeah,
but what we should know is that when it does happen, it's not by happenstance. It's being
yeah.
orchestrated.
And I'm not.
It's
I'm not.
being orchestrated.
And my thing is not to go back and forth. It's just I think we need to talk on like religion is great. It make you feel good. It gives you a purpose. The spiritual part, choices. As a black community, I think we need to be more worried about choices. The family structure, fathers, like that. That's where I'm getting at. Like, it's
Yeah.
great that we're looking at the history, but we got to get deeper than that. Like I said, the feminism part, things like to me, those are more issues that are plaguing us than FBA or ADOS or Israelites. We focus more on that because it's more emotional. We don't really want to deal with the hard. The hard part is, like I said, the decisions. It's easy to want to, run the streets or be a rapper or whatever demonic stuff we want to say instead of making the hard choices and doing the
But
right
the
thing.
choices
Discipline.
But
That's
even those choices that we make are the only options given to us. I
right.
notice now they don't tell kids to be themselves no more. We used to hear that a lot growing up. I'm 36 years old. So when I
Okay.
was growing up, I used to see commercials telling people, yo, be yourself, do what you want to do, whatever, whatever. Now, I live in Chicago. So you can't be a proud artist and walk down the street. You can't be the best ping pong player. For you to be safe in the street, you got to be either hood or hooper. You waiting on some kind of sports scholarship, or your mama indeed is somebody important that make you untouchable. But those are the only things that you have. Those are the only options. You can't be what you want to be in the black community because you feel like it. You won't get that support.
Yeah.
Uh, and we need to know again that's something that has been foretold long before we even got here. And it's because you have to look at who gave us those options. Who runs the music industry? I tell people Rick Rubin started Def Jam on the East Coast. Who do we have in
Yeah.
the West Coast who gave us NWA? I think it was
Jerry
Jerry Heller.
Heller. Jerry
Jerry Heller.
Heller. Yeah.
These were both
Yeah.
modern
We
day
know. Yeah.
Jews.
I
These
I,
are modern day
I want
Jews.
to say, but I
And
can't. No. So go
what I'm sorry for saying it,
Let's save that for my Rumble.
ahead.
but
They'll all
okay.
come back on my
Kanye.
Rumble.
I want to say, but I can't say it.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I'm just saying
Yeah.
that what we know is
But I'm
people
gonna say it.
they gave us these options, and then when you look at the options that were given, and you see how many of us are in jail, and they'll let you know what's really going on. So we have to wake up from the delusion of this world that we live in and think that America has our best interests at heart. It doesn't. It's meant to distract you from what you need to know, and it'll hurt us all in the end.
And
Right.
almost, and even though I was going, challenging, some stuff, I will say, religious, Israelite, Christian, Islam. I think most of these religions is God then the man. To me, I believe that, and I think us as men we gotta focus on our leadership roles. I think that is
Exactly.
going to be the way that we get back the men. We got to get the men together.
We do. Definitely, we do, and it's a strong issue. It's real. That's a really big problem. But again,
Well, Lance, you need to come back on the Manosphere show we're gonna have. You'd be a good guest to have for Vulgar. We're starting our Manosphere. Well, they're starting it. I won't be on
Yeah.
it. Um, want to
whenever
let him know what
y'all
that's
ready,
gonna
I'm
be, Vulgar?
available.
Oh yeah.
Vulgar, tell everyone about it. It'll be starting after the new year. Go ahead and let everyone know before we close out.
Yeah, we're gonna have a Manosphere hour, basically talking about men's issues and how we can improve. It won't be the toxic stuff that y'all see. So, I encourage people to come learn. Pretty much it, and because to me, that's important. I think as men, we have dropped the ball on a lot of stuff, and
Definitely.
there's reasons why there are certain, I call them viruses, that are infiltrating
Plaguing.
society. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
plaguing society. One of them begin with an F. I don't know if I want to say those two words together, but yeah.
What?
So feminism.
Okay. Well, yeah, we're gonna and also everybody, please come back Thursday night. We are gonna be having real life white feminists on talking about the 4B movement. I've convinced them to come on. We are gonna be respectful, right, Vulgar? And
Yes,
we're gonna have a
always.
good conversation because they're very nervous.
Might not be
Because
nice,
when
but
they
I'll be
saw,
respectful.
well, yeah, we'll be respectful. So
I'm
I
always
convinced
respectful.
them to come on. I said that you can watch our old videos, and they watched it and they still agreed to come on. So we'll be having that conversation. I don't think there's anywhere else you're going to be able to see this on anywhere. This
Oh yeah.
conversation we're going to have. They're actually one of the girls is actually not that bad, Vulgar. You'll like her. She's a former Marine. Maybe not.
Okay.
So we'll be having that conversation Thursday night. And the Manosphere show is coming on. So my closing thought is, although Christmas is a pagan holiday, I still love Jesus, and for me, I it's a time for me. I remember the reason for the season, and I want to give you guys this scripture, Isaiah 9:6. For unto us a child is born, unto us a son is given, and the government shall be upon his shoulder, and his name shall be called Wonderful Counselor, the Mighty God, the Everlasting Father, the Prince of Peace. Jesus is King, and for me, He's my King. That's not to be offensive to anyone, but now is a good time that we remember Him. I hope you guys are using this time to celebrate and spend time. Well, spend time with your family. If nothing else, this is a good time. Spend time with your family. We all have a couple of days off from work coming up. Thank you for everyone that tuned in tonight. Thank you for supporting the new party. We are all about having these honest conversations. And if you ever want to be a guest, email me, thenewparty24@gmail.com. Lance is a guest or someone that was in the comments. Lance, what do you think about coming on the new party tonight? What was your experience? Was it a good
I,
experience? Will
I,
you never
I
come
was
back?
kind of look. I was a little nervous at first, but you all are pretty good people, so it's
Thank
fine.
you.
You know, I was a
Thank you.
little nervous, but I appreciate y'all having me on. I really wanted to get that out. I've if you can't tell, I held it in for so long. A lot of us, like myself, we don't really partake with the outside. We kind of stay to ourselves, and we
I
study in
understand.
isolation. So I appreciate the time that you all allow me to come on here and speak. Really do.
Yeah, and Lance, I really want you to come on my Rumble, so I'm gonna email you. We can break down some more things. Not on here, not on YouTube.
Yeah.
But guys, I pray for peace this next year. Thank you for supporting us. If you're not already following us, please hit the follow. Oh, everyone on tonight because the chat is jumping. I see the numbers highest we've had, probably higher than last week even. Please hit the like button because we really appreciate if you hit the like. We're not asking you to give us any money, just hit the like button. Bulger, what's your closing thoughts? Close us out, please.
Uh, I, I think I said it. I think we just our focus need to be uniting and putting our GDP together and investing and creating a power structure within the black community, not dividing each other.
Yeah.
I agree. Well, everyone, God bless and thank you for coming. And like we always say on the new party, always vote.
Always vote.